Hello, once again. Welcome to the newest episode of Unishark's podcast. I am Mako Shark, joined by my co-hosts Lemon and Hammer.
Hello.
Hello. This is what, the third episode of Sharkbites?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So the last two shows we reviewed were both animes. One was both good shows too, great shows even. Free Rin and Delicious and Dungeon. So this time we actually went with something a little out there. Like even it's not an anime, but even then it's a little strange. I asked everyone to review The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. So, in case any of you don't know, The Dark Crystal was like a series of books, dark fantasy books, that Jim Henson, the guy that created the Muppets and, the who did the puppetry for Neverending Story and
Oh, he did?
Labyrinth. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Like if you've seen a movie with puppetry, odds are Jim Henson was in charge of it. So, especially if it's from the 80s. But yeah. Yeah, he decided he wanted to make a movie based off those books. He called it The Dark Crystal, not a single human actor in the entire thing, all done by puppets. So, and it's not especially well known, I guess. Like, I don't know, it has a fan base. It does. But it's not like as famous as The Neverending Story. And of course, Labyrinth had whatever his name is, that rock star Jimmy Bowitt, not Jimmy Buffett, who
David
I
Bowie.
mean. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so of course that already had its own appeal. But yeah, David Bowie. um, yeah, so actually 6 years ago now, 6 or 7, Netflix decided to make a prequel series called Age of Resistance, hand in hand with the Jim Henson Company, all puppets, no actors, and it was a huge success critically. I mean, it has what did you say the audience score was, Hammer?
Oh, yeah. Well, on Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score, not the critics. The critics was actually pretty high as well, but the audience was 94%.
Yeah, 94%. IMDb 8.4 out of 10. Critical rating on Rotten Tomatoes, if that matters to you, 89%. Even IGN gave it an 8.6 instead of a 7, so that's saying something. So, but the sad thing is, like I mentioned, the Dark Crystal was never the biggest of Jim Henson's movies. So maybe because of that, maybe because of some other reason, it just didn't do great on Netflix. Not enough to justify the cost because it was an expensive show. So it ended on a cliffhanger, and it's just been total radio silence since then. Like they already announced they're not going to make a second season. I don't think they're even going to end it with like a comic or something. But I gave it a chance and I was really impressed with it. So, I mean, of course, we have our prompts. So I just want to dig into those to kind of guide the conversation. The first one posed to my co hosts is: did the show make you feel anything?
All right. So, as you mentioned before, the Dark Crystal, it was what, 1982, I think, when the movie came out.
Yeah.
Obviously none of us were born then, but a good amount of our generation know it pretty well. And like you say, like there is a following, and I would argue definitely our generation knows it pretty well. But after that, it wasn't a movie that you would show your kids. And
Yeah.
I actually still haven't seen the original movie. But I have, like you said, brought up, I've seen other Jim Henson works, we always enjoy the Muppets and
Of course.
well, Never Ending Story. Well, yeah, it kind of ties in with my feelings about this show as well. Those Muppets, and it fits the setting more. They're definitely a lot more eerie, and it's definitely a more grim, dark setting. So my my I want to make sure I'm not okay. There you go. Didn't want to keep getting sidetracked. So I will say it was really well done, especially the parts where it was like when you see them flying around, or when they're using the animatronics. Animatronics. This is Five Nights at Freddy's. Um,
Puppets.
yeah, but like the living other animals and stuff, and it was like, okay, this is actually really well made in that aspect. But the the thing is, it's just it's probably because I don't have that nostalgia factor. I just wasn't as drawn to the story as much as one would hope.
Yeah.
Um, and and so when there was like, I guess you say, more emotional type scenes, I don't know. It was it didn't bring out as much as emotion as um, I think the writers were kind of hoping. And this is probably ties in with some of the other prompts. So but I will say, near the end, um, obviously this is a spoiler review, when all the Skeksis were definitely losing near the end, and it was like, oh yeah, they can die. You did have similar feelings to the characters, like, oh good, like finally, like like they have a weakness. When it's like people are realizing they're mortal. It's like cool, like,
Yeah.
and then it ends. but that will go out to the other prompts, so I'll leave those thoughts right there.
Yeah. I'm glad that you said that because, like I said, I grew up with the movie, so I was already kind of interested in it because of that. Um,
Oh,
yeah. I'm sorry.
I no, you brought up a point that I did want to bring up when I was watching it. It definitely got me more interested, because I was looking at like the wiki, and I was looking at the timeline, and then I found I didn't know that there is books. I thought it was just the movie, and so it's like, okay, I actually kind of do want to watch the movie now, um, and maybe look at the summaries of the books or something, or maybe even read them, depending how long they are and all that, um, to get more background.
Well, that's great actually, because I mean, when you dive into it, it's not as detailed of a story as, say, like Lord of the Rings. Well, nothing's as detailed as Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, but it does have some really interesting ideas. Stuff like Mogra, the ugly lady with the one eye. She was created to be an avatar for the Earth because, or for the planet, because the rocks wanted to see and hear, stuff like that. She's meant to help the planet kind of represent itself. So I'm like, okay, cool. And then they have this whole thing where they don't operate in dualities like we do. We think light and dark, heat and cold, things like that. They think in terms of, what would you call it, like three ways. No, that doesn't sound right. Sorry. uh, triality, whatever you want to call it. But basically, there's like three aspects of everything. So, like, this is kind of, well, I probably shouldn't. Oh no, you've seen the show, so you understand. Kind of spoilers for the show, but the Skeksis were originally joined with the Mystics. They were a single being. And I kind of dived into it and found out the whole reason why the Urskeks, the original beings, ended up on that world, on Thra, was because they were outlawed, because they tried to experiment with the idea of like good and evil. And their whole society was like, well, that's not how we work. We believe in three things, not dualities. So get out of here. And then ironically, they kind of proved it by separating into the Skeksis and the Mystics. But yeah, it has interesting ideas. And some of those ideas they were going to dive into while they were planning the second season, and now we're never going to see that. So it's kind of a shame. But yeah, I'm glad for your perspective, Hammer, because like I said, I grew up with the movie, so I was a little more interested in it. But since you didn't, like maybe that explains why it just didn't do that well, like not well enough in viewership numbers, because as good as it was, maybe it just didn't hook people. And I mean, that's fine. That's nothing to be ashamed of. There are plenty of great movies and video games and shows and books that I, watch or read. And I think, okay, this is really good, but it doesn't grab me. I don't feel like invested in it. So, and maybe just not enough people felt that way about the Dark Crystal.
Yeah, I have some thoughts that I could bring it up later, but for the original question, did it make me feel anything? I'd say it definitely did. I feel like, especially stories when there's like someone's being framed for something that they didn't do, and we know that the audience knows the truth. I feel like it's really easy to get like invested in that type of story, and like, um, I think the emotions I felt mostly watching the show is like anger towards like the Skeksis, and like also not the Skeksis, but also like the Gelflings themselves, how they're like, oh, heresy, like any type of like, how dare you question our like thought or like our society, like how dare you question it? Like any questions is automatically like thrown away, and so I definitely like felt like a lot of anger and annoyance in that type of like in a good way, I guess. I mean, so
Yeah, like same. And they even kind of address it with like the Skeksis saying, well, the Gelflings won't believe any whispers of like, what do you want to call it? Any whispers of rebellion because they want to be mindlessly led. They don't want to be free. Like, yeah, actually, they're kind of right.
yeah, that's my thoughts on that question.
Yeah, yeah, and like for me, kind of the similar thing. Like the Skeksis are good villains because sometimes they're funny, and most of the time they're just like pure evil, just vile, backstabbing. A lot of them are stupid. On top of that, and the Chamberlain's the worst. Like in the movie and in the show, just cannot stand the Chamberlain.
I was waiting for him to die throughout the whole show. I'm like, he's probably that character that will take forever to get actually what he deserves. And he's just a character that makes you want to keep watching because you want him to lose.
You want him to finally get his comeuppance.
hmm
So yeah, and Hammer, you mentioned kind of frustration with the Gelflings because they're just brainlessly believing in the Skeksis, and like I said, the Skeksis are aware of this and take advantage of that. Like, what was her name? The one girl Gelfling that becomes queen or tries to become queen, and she's like devoted to the Skeksis, and her own mother gets murdered in front of her, and she goes, "Well, my mother deserved it for rebelling against the Skeksis." What was her name? Constance something. But you know who I'm talking
Celadon,
about.
I think.
Celadon.
Yeah.
I was way off.
Isn't that a fish? Is that a
Yeah, I
Pokemon?
mean, yeah, it
That's it.
sounds like a Pokemon name.
That's Cerulean Gym. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, like she drove me nuts. I was like, "Oh, you piece of crap! Just shut up!" And then at the same time, like when she finally believes it and realizes the Skeksis are just as evil as her mother and everyone else has been telling her, I actually felt kind of bad for her. And she does kind of redeem herself at the end, but
Yeah, at the end, yeah.
yeah. But just and then, the cliffhanger ending cuz that character, oh my gosh, I just watched it not long ago. I can't remember anyone's names.
Deet?
Oh, Deet. Yeah. Deet. I loved Deet. Like she's so sweet and simple the whole series, but then, she gets corrupted at the end. And she has that vision of her sitting on the Skeksis throne filled with the darkening, with this corruption. And that killed me that it ends on a cliffhanger. We're never gonna find out what happened to her.
Yeah, it was interesting because I knew it was ending on a cliffhanger because I did a little bit of research on it. And I was like, oh yeah, they only did one season. And it's like episode 8, and then she gets that vision of her on that. I'm like, huh, I guess we're never gonna figure out what happened there. But
Yeah, like I think we can assume things kind of work out. They were hinting she and the main guy had a thing for each other.
yeah, I mean, according to the wiki, they all die in the battle.
Yeah. Well, but the main guy looks crazy similar to Jen, the main character from the movie.
Hmm.
So my guess is that he and Deet are Jen's parents. So it's like even though they end up probably dying, at least their son is the one who manages to defeat the Skeksis finally.
Yeah, I can see them doing that. She dies in childbirth or something like that.
Yeah. And then even like, oh, sorry, that's for another question. We'll get into that in a bit. Uh, I think I do want to address the puppetry though. And sorry, real quick, I looked it up. Turns out Jim Henson did not do the puppetry for the Neverending Story. He did the ones for the third Neverending Story.
Okay.
There's 3 of them.
Yeah,
All right.
I didn't even know
But
there was a second one.
Right. Learn something new
Yeah,
every
that
day.
was news. That was news to me too. But I think the puppetry was really good. It was really like probably top notch, cutting edge. Like the puppets make faces and expressions and all that. But there were moments that were kind of ruined, maybe not ruined, like limited because of it.
Yeah.
Because you can only
Yeah.
do so much emotion through a puppet's face, and even the fight scenes, they did a lot better because they used a little CGI here and there, and better special effects in this day and age. But it's still like watching puppets fight is weird. It's not a guy swinging a sword; it's a guy swinging a guy who has a sword in his hand.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult. Um, and I think that was one of the reasons it was put off by a lot of people. Um, because it's not like the same type of puppets like Muppets and even Sesame Street. Like those ones are used in tandem with the humans, not always, but for a good amount, and are there for kind of short scenes. Like the only Muppet movie that I remember seeing, like I guess you could say combat, was Muppet Treasure Island, and he fights. Oh gosh, what's that actor's name? But
Tim
he's
Curry.
playing. Yeah, yeah. And he's like cutting off the buttons off his coat, and it's humorous fight. Where this
Yeah.
one, it's supposed to be a more serious show, and you can't really do that well because they're going to do the same movements as you see Kermit swinging his arm back and forth, and it just doesn't look that epic. And so what they did that I think they did pretty well, I realized, is they did more close shots. Like when
Yeah.
you see someone getting stabbed, you saw the blade in them and not them swinging it in them. You don't see the full shot. You just see them swing towards him, and then you see the blade in them. And I think that's what they tried doing to make it fit, so you wouldn't be thrown off by a Kermit arm swinging on,
Yeah.
on a puppet trying to save the world.
Yeah, like they use those and a lot of the kind of shaky jump cuts kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And normally that's kind of obnoxious and lazy, but in this case, like you said, it's because they're trying to do the best they can to make an epic fight scene with puppets without having to just break down and rely on CGI to do it.
Yeah.
So they kind of give them a pass for that, but at the same time, it does affect the emotion of some things.
Yes, it does. But
Like when Ordon tackles the hunter into that pit of gobblers, and they're both
oh
sinking it. Yeah, like the whole fight is kind of. I mean, it's cool when he pulls out. The hunter pulls out the extra swords and the extra arms, but it's like, it's not as impactful as it could have been, I guess.
he should have died.
Oh yeah, him just blowing out of it, and I'm like, well, that
Stupid.
sucks. His dad just died for no reason.
Yeah, literally. Anyways, whatever.
Okay, well, moving
Yeah.
on to our second. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. Yeah, I was about to say I have mixed feelings about the puppetry work because I feel like they put a lot of work into it and a lot of effort. Like some of the puppets were literally crying, and there's some like disgusting parts with the sketskis where like they're sneezing out snot and like
Oh
pus and
yeah,
stuff like that. And I'm like, I can tell they put a lot of work into it, but like you said, like there's moments where it's just like this feels very awkward. Like
yeah,
I don't know how to explain it. Like sometimes when like they're about to like run away, you can definitely tell like they're hopping up and down like a
yeah,
puppet, and I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah, they almost
yeah.
never show the legs. And I'm so
Yeah.
glad that one Sketsy dies. Okay.
Oh yeah.
That wasn't too bad. Boom.
Oh yeah, and then her head explodes. And afterwards, like they're like, "Man, why did she have to die? She never hurt anyone who didn't deserve
Yeah,
it."
that was funny.
Yeah, I think my favorite part of the Skeksis was when Celadon runs up to warn them about the rebellion, and one of them turns to the other and says, "Which princess is this one? I don't know. They all look the same."
Mm.
Yeah, I kind of like the Skeksis because like they're actually like actual like evil villains versus like trying to make them like redeemable. It's like a lot of like modern villains these days.
Yeah, and
So,
oh sorry.
oh, go on. Go on, finish your thought.
Well, like I appreciated that when they're having that little carriage ride, and the main guy is like accusing the Skeksis, saying, "You're evil, you're vile," and the Chamberlain says, "Well, how are we evil?" He's like, "Well, you kill Gelflings." And he says, "Well, everything kills each other. Animals kill each other for food. Like, how is that any different from us killing you to get what we need?" So it's like it doesn't redeem them, but it explains their perspective. I'm like, thank you. You explained it. I understand their motivation. They still suck, but you didn't try and get us to buy into some cheesy villain redemption.
Right.
Yeah. Is it okay if I bring this up? It kind of goes with one of the other prompts of if we could change anything.
Oh yeah.
Mm, so just because so this is my only experience with this franchise. Um, with those type of characters, it's like, how did they believe that they were good leaders when they looked like that this whole time? Um, and and it's just like, okay, yeah, like they're supposed to look bad because they're the bad guys. But I guess maybe it's more kind of a shift in things because I think a lot of bad guys, like uh, what is it, like the witch in The Sword and the Stone, like she's kind of evil looking because she says she is, and she looks like a witch, and
Yeah.
so it's like, okay, she's an obvious bad character. Same with the evil queen in Snow White, and so it's like it's nice to have obvious looking bad evil characters to fit their role. And I get, like I was saying, it's more maybe the kind of shift in today's type things where they make characters that are actually evil, and especially in this type of role when they're supposed to be like leading them and they're deceiving them, they make them more good looking. And it's like, oh, like we're following them because like they're good looking. How could they be bad? And it
Yeah.
turns out, no, they actually are evil underneath. And that makes more sense to me. Uh, like I already said, like why are they listening to these like vulture looking ugly birds that are obviously not nice? Like, how do you not know that they're bad when it's been 1,000 trying or whatever, however long that is in years? And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you didn't think they're going to be bad this whole time? Like, did they do anything that was good for you guys this whole time for any of your ancestors other than them saying that they are?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Sorry.
no, it's just like, it- what was the Dark Crystal a kids movie, or was it
Yeah.
more for teenagers?
I mean, it's like a kids movie, kind of like how Coraline's a kids movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
That's a great
Uh,
way to put it, actually.
because it's like, okay, I could see with like the innocent children, maybe they'd believe it more if they say, if someone says, "No, I'm okay, I just look ugly," like, "Oh, okay." I could see a kid believing that more, but I don't know, that's the only thing. And it's like it would have been really interesting if they made their mythic counterparts the actual, like they made them the Skeksis, and the evil vulture guys were actually the good ones.
Yeah.
Um, but that I didn't write the story, so that I don't have a really say in it. Um, but yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. It's like what would I change? And that changes a lot. But um I don't know. Very obvious bad looking people are like you guys should rebuild a lot earlier. Freaking Modra is the whole reason why everything went down anyways in the wrong first place. It's really all her fault.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that kind of plays into my thoughts on it. Like we've all been talking about, the Gelflings were just kind of stupid. So I think something I would change is make them a little more willing to believe that the Skeksis were evil. Like, they try to discredit the main guy by saying, "Oh, he's got a disease. He's crazy." Like, if you, what do they call it? If you dream fast with him, and for people that haven't seen it, Gelflings can do a thing called dream fasting, where they take each other's hands and share each other's memories. So the Skeksis spread a rumor that, oh, the main guy, he has a disease. Like, it's insanity. If you dream fast with him, you'll go crazy too. And a bunch of them believe it. And it's like, have you ever heard of that happening at any point in time, ever? Like, go to the library, read through your history. Has that ever happened? And then, when the Skeksis go to collect tribute, and they obviously don't need all this stuff. Like, food, maybe, but then they stopped that one couple who couldn't provide much crops and said, "Oh, this tithe isn't good enough, but your necklace is really nice. I'll take that." It's like guys, they're obviously just stealing from you. And only one of them, the princess, is smart enough to call it out. So it's like, yeah, you guys are kind of asking for all this to happen because you're just kind of being dumb. And then the other thing would be Agra. Like, kind of what you were saying, Hammer. Like, Skeksis are obviously evil, so why on earth did she put them in charge of the crystal? And like that bothered me so much. I had to do a deep dive like into the wikis and everything. And finally I found out that I guess the Skeksis like behaved well enough after a few centuries that she thought, okay, yeah, maybe they're not so bad. I can entrust them with the crystal. It's like, no, you were there when they split from the Urskeks. You know that's their evil side. Why would you ever trust it? So I guess that's the one thing I would change. Just it's a good show, but some of the story requires the characters to act kind of dumb.
Yeah, why they let him retreat? Chase after them. Just
Yeah,
stab them
like
all in the back.
you have all the Galefang armies chase them down.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mythics, but just get them all. Okay, sorry, Lemon. Go ahead.
No, you're all good. I agree with you there. But yeah, I think for me, for something I'd change, I feel like the show it may have done a lot better if it was like a movie instead of a TV show. That
Oh,
way, it wasn't like dragged out so much, and also it may have been less expensive because yeah, I was really impressed with all the production work and production value they put into it. But I almost kind of wonder if they could spread themselves out a little bit too thin because there's so many puppets, so many characters. Like if it took all that budget and all that time and made like instead of like 10 puppets, make like five that are like super good, you know.
yeah.
But I don't know, it's just kind of my thoughts there. I did think it was interesting. There's like one part where like they're enacting the prophecy and like there's a puppeteering a puppet, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like Inception.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
that part was actually fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. We even hype it up. They're like, we're going to show you through one of the most ancient and revered forms of storytelling, puppetry. Yeah,
Yeah, it's yeah.
I liked the heretic and how the fact that he's hanging out with his mystic counterpart, his literal good half. They're both just chilling on top of a mountain, trying to not go crazy, just waiting for something to happen. So,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry.
No, I kind of want to continue what Lemon was saying, and this is actually a tactic that Tolkien does. He gives a little bit of information, and then that's it. And there was instances where it's like, oh, there's actually a clan in the desert that's not part of the Six, or something like that. That's what it seemed like.
Yeah,
And everyone forgot about the underground ones and stuff like that. And it seemed like a bunch of questions were brought up that they were planning to answer, and it felt like they were going to explore more in the second season. But that ended up not happening. And so, but if they made it to where it's like, I guess going back to Tolkien as example, when Gandalf is saying, "Oh, there's deeper and darker things in the world that you know that you don't know about, you don't want to think about," and that's like the only instance that is brought up like ever in any of the Tolkien's works,
yeah,
and people just fantasize about that, and like, what are they? Are they affecting the world? And blah blah blah. And so I felt like if they did that maybe a bit more with the show, it wouldn't have been such a bad. It's not their fault, but it wouldn't have been such a bad cliffhanger. Because it's more like, well, these things they exist, and that's all you need to know. And it's not like they exist, and we're planning to explain more. Never.
do you mean
But
like the darkening or?
yeah, and like the other clans and all these other different things, because Bodra has a son that, okay, whatever.
Oh, yeah,
And who were the previous race of these Skeksis and Uruns or whatever they're called.
yeah,
And so what Lemon was saying is like they gave too much information, and now we're stuck with no answers.
Yeah, that's fair.
At least I hope that's what you were saying, Lemon. That I didn't just go off other paths.
No, that's close enough. I was just thinking,
Close enough.
keeping it more concise, I guess, or limiting. I
Yeah,
think limiting themselves to a movie is like would force them to like a bit smarter with like how they use the puppets and the storytelling, I guess, or
yeah. There you go.
make it like 5 episodes instead of 10 or something like that. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
everyone kept getting killed off, and it was like, well, we just saw his dad die, and now I see your mom die, and then everyone's zombies. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
let's
and then
just.
a bunch.
Hmm?
Oh, yeah, and then a bunch of them get drained, including one of the one guard that like betrayed all the Gelflings. He's like, "But I was loyal." Yeah, Skeksis are like, "Well, you ratted out your fellow Gelflings, so you may as well die with them."
Yeah.
No, actually, I think that's a good idea. Maybe, yeah, a movie might have been cheaper, might have gotten more seats. And we might have actually gotten a sequel to it. But I mean, can't do anything now unless we petition Netflix, I guess.
Hey, who knows? Maybe it'll be like a sudden surge and the Dark Crystal becomes super popular on TikTok or something, and they'll have to make another one.
Yeah, maybe they'll come out with a video game someday. It'll just randomly be amazing.
There actually is a video game based off the characters from Age of Resistance.
Yeah, I actually looked into it. I thought about buying it, but it looks like it was just okay.
Yeah, was it Tactics, I think?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
no.
make like a Ubisoft open world. No.
I'm just thinking that maybe they'll credit us for bringing back the show.
Yeah,
'Cause
someone will. And Netflix exec will be like, "I was listening to my favorite podcast, Uni Sharks." uh,
come on, Netflix, listen to us and give us some money, even though I'm not happy with your company, but I like some money.
yeah. I don't like your company, but I'll take money from. That's advice I'll take. So
I
all
do
this
want
kind
to.
of ties. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, kind of quick little tangent. I do want to say I do like this genre of fantasy where like there's no humans involved. Like I feel
Yeah,
like
I
it
like
makes it
that
more
too.
interesting because like I don't know, like a lot of like Tolkienism fantasy. I always kind of wonder like how do humans fit into all of this setting with like dwarves and elves and all this random stuff. But it's kind of nice to like see like a fantasy world that has like its own like system that's away from our own reality. Like it's not something that's just medieval Europe with magic.
Yeah. Well, that kind of ties into the last prompt. Like, what did you think of the show critically? What did you think of it in like entertainment terms? Was it fun? One thing I really liked about it was that it was creative.
Mhm.
As far as fantasies go, it really tried to do things that were really different, not just trying to copy Lord of the Rings with, elves and dwarves and everything else. No, it made entirely new races. Like I said, this whole world where they think in terms of threes instead of twos.
I do like the roly poly things that they used to go around while
Oh
doing
yeah,
that.
those were fun. I loved what was his name? Lore, the big stone robot guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely like the creature design. I feel like it was really well thought out.
Yeah, and like even just kind of the differences, like, most of the Skeksis are lazy and useless until the very end, but like, and they have to drink the essence of other creatures to stay young. But then you have the hunter who comes in, and the hunter's like agile and dangerous and quick and energetic. And even Agra says that he's beautiful in a weird way, I think.
He used to be beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, oh, and then, his counterpart, the archer, is like really agile for a mystic. All while the heretic is screaming about how his counterpart is crazy slow. It's like, yeah, I just appreciated that there are differences between the characters.
Overall, I think it deserves its ratings. It definitely has its faults.
Yeah.
Part of it not necessarily their own. Maybe it's just lack of foresight from them, even though they have Mother Mojo, but whatever. Yeah. And I guess really the only thing I want to add in is, maybe right at the end and everything, you kind of see like a human ship come in and they just take over the rest of the planet for its resources.
You hear Freebird playing as
I just
his jets go screaming overhead.
no. It does a really good job of having its own world. Um, there really isn't many things that do that. That like type of fantasy setting.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was fun.
And like it did. Oh, sorry. Did you have anything to say, Lemon?
Nope, I think I said what I needed to say, so
Okay.
you can continue.
I think it did go through a good range of emotions. Like Deet and her little podling friend were funny and adorable a lot of the time. And then there's sad parts like the old Madra dying in front of everyone and Archer sacrificing himself to stop the hunter. And there's like frustrating parts like the Chamberlain killing the general. As parts that are creepy and gross, mostly involving the scientist when like his eye gets eaten. I was like, why the crap do you guys even have that? What's wrong with you? It's like, oh yeah, they're pure evil.
That com- that completely caught me off guard.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this
Oh
is a grim dark show.
yeah, and I was thinking like it caught me off guard too, and then I remembered, oh yeah, in the movie the scientist does have a mechanical eye. I didn't connect the dots until it tore his eye out. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I guess they had to explain that. And I'm so mad that Chamberlain didn't get punished. I'm like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
He even suggested the eye thing. Well, and then towards the end, just what were those two little things called? His slaves.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember their names.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, the two things that they sewed the mouths and eyes shut, or just the mouths.
yeah, the mouth shut so they couldn't tell secrets. Gar or something.
Yeah, that's pretty dark too.
Yeah, just he throws one of them down the shaft so it incinerates, and then he takes the broken lever and beats the other one to death. And you can like hear it crunching into its skull over and over again. And like after he's done, you hear it give out its last breath. I'm like, holy crap. Like, yeah, it does get dark sometimes, grim dark. And then of course he takes its body and merges it with the Arathim and makes a Garthim. Which I mean, a bit of a tangent, but that Garthim suit was actually from the original movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like talk about
Yeah,
good puppetry. They grabbed a puppet suit that's like 40 years old and was still in good shape.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's pretty impressive. Did you know the scientist was voiced by Mark Hamill?
Yeah, he had like an all-star cast. Like
Yeah, I
Taron
was pretty
Egerton
surprised.
voiced them, especially with the Skeksis. Like one of them was voiced by Keegan Michael Key. The Emperor was voiced by ah, the guy that played Ronan in Guardians of the Galaxy. Lee Pace, I think his name is. Oh, and heck, the gross Skeksis with like the pustules and the snot, that was. I'm so bad with names today. That one chick from Shang-Chi.
I still haven't seen that one, so
Oh, yeah, she's like a Asian comedian with a gravelly voice.
oh, her, yeah.
Yeah, her. Aquafina, that's it.
She was also voicing the other dragon movie. The
Oh,
yeah,
Ryan. Yeah,
yeah, that
Ryan
one.
the Last Dragon. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I like what Hammer was saying. I agree with all the reviews. Like, it was a great show, but I also agree that it just didn't hook me. And because of that, I I think it deserves a sequel, but I'm not desperate to get one. So I mean, that's all I really had left to say. Just, you know, it's a shame, but you took their shot and it just didn't work out. All
Yeah,
right.
at least they got their at least they got their one season done. So it'd be kind of nice if they've done it all one season rather than leaving like cliffhanger. But they did their best.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's everything. Any other thoughts?
Not at the moment for me.
All right. So Dark Crystal Age of Resistance is on Netflix. Give it a watch. It is good enough. I definitely recommend it to other people. And we'll see you all next time.
Bye. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.